Let's go to Washington and speak to Morad Elsana, a professor at American University, also an expert on international humanitarian law. Morad, thank you so much for your time. How much further right do you think Benjamin Netanyahu, compared to his own Likud party's policies, could go in this new coalition? And specifically here regarding Israel's relationship with Palestine.
I think this government is going to be a further extra right government that can lead the whole country to the extremist right that it can ever go. And the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu's government will be built on fascist, right-wing political parties will take the country for the first time to places that it has never been.
Yeah, can you just expand on that a bit further? But let me just say about Itamar Ben-Gvir, and I presume that's who you're specifically referring to when you talk about the far right. His religious Zionism list won 14 parliamentary seats. It's the third biggest faction in the Knesset. This is a man whose supporters used to chant death to Arabs. They've slightly modified that and are now chanting, and were in fact in the past few days, death to Arabs. But that seems to imply that they're equating terrorists with Arabs.
Yes, that's true, unfortunately. For those who do not know Itamar Ben-Gvir, he was one of the Kahanists, that means people who were part of Kahana political party. Kahana is has been declared as an illegal party in the 80s in Israel. It was outlawed by the Likud leadership themselves because they represent a very non-democratic, racist political views that a reasonable democratic country can never accept or live with. And now with this government, Benjamin Netanyahu have been presenting a right-wing government for a long time. All his time he has been trying to disenfranchise the Arabs and to lead a very right-wing governments, including legislations and policies against the Arab minority in Israel, not only the Palestinians in the occupied territories. And now with Itamar Ben-Gvir and his political parties, we are expecting one of the worst governments since years that could harm the basic rights of the Arab citizens in Israel.
But considering how many elections Israel has had in the past 4 years, do you think that this coalition will survive, or do you think there could be some divisions? And those divisions may well be the far right, those ultra-nationalists saying that Netanyahu is not going far enough, of course.
Benjamin Netanyahu is an experienced politician and prime minister, and he knows how to manipulate between his political parties, especially with the right-wing political parties. Unfortunately, we expect that this government will last longer than the previous ones, due to the fact that the right bloc is getting now 64 or 65 seats, which will provide the Israeli government a stability for a long time, unlike the previous governments. And add to this, the political parties in this government will be more or less homogeneous ones than the previous government that included different contradicting political parties, which also led to the early collapse of the previous government. So as I mentioned, unfortunately, we're not happy for these results. But unfortunately, this government, right-wing government, will remain for a long time. And the effects are going to be disastrous, not only for the Palestinians in the occupied territories and the Palestinians in citizens in Israel, but also on the Jewish majority, especially the leftist people in Israel. The country will become more religious ones, and it will not respect many of the liberal parties, let's say it in this way, that they used to expect in parties like Meretz and the Labour Party.
Professor Morad Elsana, thank you so much for joining us on TRT World.